Have you ever stumbled onto a secret so deeply buried, so fiercely guarded by a community, that unearthing it feels like pulling a loose thread that could unravel an entire town? Well, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are strapping on our investigative journalist hats to dig into a 50-year-old cold case hidden deep in the ponderosa pines of northern Arizona, right at the Mormon Lake Lodge. It all starts with an 87-year-old woman named Sally. A totally innocent Craigslist ad offering a free campsite in exchange for helping three old ladies, and a mystery that simply refuses to stay dead. Let's get to work.
I suppose the things you remember about someone who has died are the funny moments. Those are the ones that stand out. It sets a really haunting, kind of nostalgic tone, doesn't it? But here's the thing. For Sally, the memories she's forced to deal with aren't actually hers, and they definitely aren't funny. See, when Sally arrived at this desolate woodland compound, she expected to meet three elderly women who just needed a hand with some chores. Instead, she woke up in her camper van to find herself completely trapped with three ghosts: Martha, Georgia, and Marietta. And they weren't there for yard work. They were there to demand justice.
You've got this wild contrast here between the grounded and the bizarre. Sally fiercely clings to her reality, right? Waking up at 2 a.m. on the dot, perking her coffee, firing up her little Mr. Heater, just enjoying a logical, peaceful morning routine. But intruding on her space are these three transparent, highly opinionated ghosts who only come out at night. They physically cram into her tiny van, blocking her hot plate, and stubbornly demanding that she solve their 50-year-old murder. It is literally the ultimate clash of the earthly and the supernatural.
Now, you might be asking, why on earth wouldn't Sally just pack up her van and drive away from this paranormal nightmare? Well, Martha, who's kind of the ringleader of the spirits, plays the ultimate trump card. She leverages Sally's own deceased mother, May Blossom. Martha reveals that she actually crossed paths with May Blossom in the afterlife, and May Blossom explicitly volunteered Sally for this job, knowing her daughter's relentless need to right horrific wrongs. I mean, talk about a guilt trip from beyond the grave. Trapped by familial duty and spectral stubbornness, Sally reluctantly agrees to investigate.
Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1. 1970. The Fire in the Saloon. Let's travel back and reconstruct the chaotic night of the victims' deaths. Let's walk through this timeline exactly like a true crime reconstruction. Hour 1. The saloon is absolutely packed. Marietta, who's known for her wild partying, is intoxicated and doing what she loves most, dancing and leaping from table to table. Hour 2 brings the collapse. Marietta lands on her designated favorite table, the one prominently branded with the circle M, but the table gives way. She plummets to the concrete floor, the crack of her skull echoing over the noise of the bar. Hour 3 is pure panic. Her friends, Georgia and Martha, rush into the crowd to try and revive her bleeding body. And then, Hour 4, the Inferno. Right before medical help can arrive, someone yells, "Fire!" Smoke billows out from the men's restroom. The intoxicated crowd completely panics, stampeding for the exits. Marietta, Georgia, and Martha are trampled and unfortunately succumb to the smoke. It was a triple casualty event, officially ruled an accidental fall followed by an electrical fire. But the ghosts, they cry murder.
And the ghosts actually aren't the only ones who doubt the official story. Kurt, the fire chief at the time, had a very different theory. Step 1. Kurt had personally inspected the lodge's wiring just 2 days prior, and everything was perfectly up to code. On top of that, despite being right next to the wall where the fire supposedly started, his trained nose smelled absolutely no smoldering electrical wires. Step 2. Kurt strongly suspects arson. He believes someone deliberately dropped a match into a trash can in the restroom hall to create a sudden, massive diversion. A diversion, perhaps, to ensure Marietta didn't survive her fall or to totally destroy the evidence of that collapsed table.
Moving into Part 2, the suspects and the village gossip. It's time to hit the murder board and map out earthly rumors against the ghosts' claims. According to the local rumor mill, we have a wildly messy web of motives here. First up is Todd Murphy, the current lodge manager. Rumor has it, he and Marietta had secret affairs in the admin office. Maybe he needed her gone to save his reputation. Next is Todd's third wife, Skizzy. She harbored this intense love-hate obsession with Marietta, making romantic advances that Marietta just rejected, which actually prompted Marietta to spread rumors about Skizzy's sexuality. Then there's Daryl Morrison, the town drunk who openly admits to going through hell after Marietta constantly rejected his advances. Finally, Cassandra Fitzgibbons, a fiery local who viewed Marietta as an intense rival, both in community organizing and because of rumors that Marietta was getting way too close to Cassandra's husband, Fitz.
And this brilliantly illustrates how Marietta's presence deeply fractured this small community. It wasn't just a single isolated dispute, she was right at the center of intense social friction. Cassandra is seething because her serious women's rights group is failing, while Marietta's party-centric club is thriving. Add to that, Marietta spending all this time alone with Cassandra's husband, Fitz, under the guise of house remodels. Then you have Skizzy's open, toxic jealousy, and Daryl's deeply bruised ego from his very public rejection. Literally, almost everyone in the village had a reason to want Marietta's table dancing days to end permanently.
Now, for part 3, interrogating the suspects. Let's put on our journalist hats and cross-reference these wildly conflicting alibis.
Let's start with Todd. When Sally asks to see the lodge's history box to gather some actual facts, Todd completely shuts her down, claiming he's saving it for a book. But later, when the investigation really heats up, he confronts Sally with a chilling warning. He tells her, "Do not dance on any tables." You really have to consider, is Todd just a frustrated manager protecting his business, or is this highly suspicious defensiveness the behavior of a man who is desperate to keep the lodge's deadly secrets buried? Then we have to cross-examine the power couple, Fitz and Cassandra. Their reactions to the reopened investigation couldn't be more different. Fitz remains completely unnervingly silent. He's minding his own business to a highly suspicious degree. Cassandra, on the other hand, turns 3 shades of green and red with unhinged rage at the mere mention of Marietta's name. So we have to wonder, did Cassandra's fierce jealousy push her to sneak into that saloon and actually rig the Circle M table to protect her marriage and her pride?
And what about Daryl, the supposedly heartbroken, rejected lover? He actually drives up to Sally's campsite completely intoxicated, insisting that he's going to camp out there to protect her from the village's anger. Is this the act of a chivalrous man who genuinely mourns Marietta, or is this a calculated move by the killer to aggressively insert himself into the investigation, monitor exactly what Sally knows, and cover his own tracks?
So we're left staring at 2 entirely conflicting truths. On one side, we have the official village narrative, aggressively maintained by old gossips like Ron, who insist it was simply a tragic drunken accident. A girl danced too hard, fell, and a fire unfortunately broke out. End of story. But on the flip side, we have the haunting, inescapable demands of the victims themselves, insisting the table was deliberately sabotaged. To break this stalemate, we need hard, physical evidence.
So, the crucial point is, part 4, the missing murder weapon. Let's look at the explosive discovery made in the boneyard.
Because if we can prove the table was tampered with, the accident theory completely falls apart. Digging through decades of charred wood and discarded lodge property in the boneyard, Sally and her niece's friend, Ginny, actually find it. Marietta's favorite table, distinctly branded with the Circle M. And the condition of the table is absolutely chilling. The legs aren't just broken from a heavy fall, they are jutting out at a bizarre, Scroogey hot angle. And why? Because each leg is held on by only a single screw. The rest of the thick, necessary screws are completely missing or just dangling loosely. This wasn't an accident. The table was deliberately, methodically sabotaged to collapse under Marietta's weight.
Knowing they've struck absolute gold, Sally and Jenny load the sabotaged table into their truck and literally parade the evidence through the village. And the reaction is instantaneous. The town gossips panic, spitting and scrambling. Todd, the manager, furiously confronts Sally, accusing her of encroaching on private property and demanding she drop the issue right then and there. Sally reluctantly complies by returning the table to the exact spot in the boneyard, but the suspense truly peaks when they go back later to show Todd the evidence. The Circle M table has mysteriously completely vanished from the scrap pile. Parading the evidence literally triggered the killer to strike again.
Which leaves us looking at a very dark reality. The murderer didn't just strike in 1970, they are actively operating right now. Someone in that village watched Sally parade that table, panicked, and stole the evidence from the boneyard to keep the ghosts of Mormon Lake silenced. So we leave you with this provocative question to ponder. Who among our suspects, Todd, Skizzy, Daryl, or Cassandra, is still desperately covering up a triple homicide 50 years later? The truth is out there in the pines, waiting to be fully unearthed. Thanks for joining us on this investigative journey on The Explainer. Keep questioning everything, and we'll see you next time.